progress.
Okay, a good Erev Shabbos Rabbeisai. As we prepare for Parshas Beha'aloscha, Haba Aleinu L'Toiva, our first offering today will be Davar Yafeh Be'itai. And before we begin, I'm very excited to share with you that beginning Monday, we start a new area of halacha, holiest tefillah. You may know that every morning we have a Shiur of Mishnah Berurah at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. We have a very chashuv group. We get together Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sometimes even Friday at 9 a.m. And we finish the first part of Chelek Aleph Mishnah Berurah. On Monday we begin Siman Pei Tes, which are the halachos of tefillah. It will revolutionize your learning and your observance of halacha. Mishnah Berurah are one of the four things that Rav Volba writes that every Jew needs to learn. So you could join us beginning Monday morning at 9 a.m. on this Zoom. Mishnah Berurah Siman Pei Tes. Okay, our first offering for today. By the way, one more exciting announcement. The trip this summer, if you see on our email this week, we're going to be visiting a very interesting historic destination, Greece, southern Italy, and Malta. You say, what Mekaymes HaKadoshim are there? Well, I'll just tell you, I have a sefer on Greece that has the list of thousands of Chachmei Yisrael and Tzaddikim, including the Beis Yosef, and many, many others who lived in Greece, Salonika. The history there is remarkable, and you could join us this summer, Be'ezras Hashem. Okay, so the first offering for today is Davar Yafeh Be'itai. Davar Yafeh Be'itai. Connecting Parshas Beha'aloscha to the Zman Hashana. Now, Sefer Yetzirah teaches us. By the way, if you want to receive the Maramakaimos of any of the Shiurim or be updated on upcoming Shiurim, you could subscribe to our twice a week email. Go to our site rabbidg.com and just hit the subscribe button. Okay, so the Sefer Yetzirah Parak Hey Mishnah Beis teaches us that the month of Sivan, God was Himlich Ois Zayin Behilach. He crowned the letter Zayin with walking, meaning the letter that is associated with Chodesh Sivan is the Ois Zayin. The action that is associated with Chodesh Sivan is Hilach. Interestingly, I would like to suggest Parshas Bechukoisai, which is the Parsha that we read of Shabbos Mevarchin Chodesh Sivan, which is the month of walking, begins in Bechukoisai Teilechu. If you will walk in my statutes, as Reb Shmuel Rozovsky would explain, that through Amelus B'Torah, one is able to walk meaning to go from one level to the next, Mechayel El Chayel. So in the month, we could say that the month of Sivan is the month of walking, because since it's the month of Kabbalas HaTorah, the Torah allows us to be Hoylech, Mechayel El Chayel. Now this is also the month of the letter Zayin. So my friend Rabbi Rafal Ansel of France shared with me, the Parsha begins, El Mol Pnei HaMenorah Ya'iru Eis Shivas Haneros. It talks about the 7 branches of the menorah. Certainly this is an appropriate subject, because this is the month of the letter Zayin. Chodesh Sivan is the month of the letter Zayin. Furthermore, the upside down nuns before Vayihi ben Saya and after Vayihi ben Saya now, according to the Gemara and Shabbos, create that there are actually more than 5 books in the Chumash, and they are Bereshis, Shemais, Vayikra, the portion of Bamidbar before Vayihi ben Saya, the 85 letters of Vayihi ben Saya, the portion of Bamidbar after Vayihi ben Saya, and Devarim. So, in the month that's associated with the Ois Zayin, we read about how the Ribono Shel Olam created the 7 books of the Chumash, as the Gemara cites the pasuk, Chatzva Amudeha Shiva. The Ribono Shel Olam hewn out the 7 pillars of existence, the 7 pillars of the Torah. Now, it's very interesting that the Shabbos we said last week after Shavuos is called Shabbos Nach Shavuos, or Shabbos Sheva Brachos. So if last Shabbos was Shabbos Sheva Brachos, then what's this Shabbos? This is Shabbos of real life. After first the couple has the Sheva Brachos, and then they got to move into their house. And what's the first thing you do when you move into your house? The Das Zakenim says in Parshas Truma, Shemen Lama'ar. Das Zakenim says the first thing you do when you go into a house, you turn on the lights. Unless you live in Motel 6, you always have to turn on the lights yourself. That's the first thing you do when you go into a house. So therefore, this week, which is the first week after Sheva Brachos, it begins with the Hadlakas HaMenorah, because you got to turn on the lights. Fine. Next, which Shevet corresponds to Chodesh Sivan? Lefi Toldoisan, meaning in the order of the birth of the Shvatim, and as is the opinion of the Ravid and the Maral, this month is Keneged Shevet Levi. Well, I wonder, which month do we read about the selection of the Levium? That's in this week's Parsha. We read about V'hivdaltes haLeviim Mitoch Bnei Yisrael V'hayu li haLeviim. So that's also in this week's Parsha. So we have, this is the month of walking. That's why in Bechukaisai Telechu is Shabbos Mevarchim Sivan. This is the month of Zayin. Therefore we read about the Zayin Neiros and the 7 Svarim through the upside down nuns. And it's the month of the Levium. This occurred to me, Mamish Ayam Menorah. Did you know that we always read Beha'aloscha the week before the following calendar event? You say, what calendar event is coming up this coming week? You should know this. Chaf Sivan, the calendar event of Chaf Sivan. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I have a wedding on Chaf Sivan. Yeah, I do. I have a wedding on Chaf Sivan. There's a question. Are you allowed to get married on Chaf Sivan? Chaf Sivan is somewhat of a tragic day. I was asked this question by someone in Eretz Yisrael, and I asked the Rosh Yeshiva of Tarvadas, I happened to see him at a wedding, Rabbi Glatstein, and he says, yeah, in our times, you could get married in Chaf Sivan. We gotta get people married. But Chaf Sivan, it's interesting, on the calendar, twice in our history, was a day of tragedy. First of all, the Magen Avram brings in Sim Tav Kuf Pei. There's a minhag to fast on Chaf Sivan in Poland. And the Magen Avram also discusses this in Sim Tav Kuf Samaches. The Shari Tshuva says that, by the way, what happened on Chaf Sivan? The Gezeros of Tach V'Tat, 1648, 1649. Okay, that was before you were born, most of you. Okay, so in 1648, 1649, there were terrible decrees, pogroms against the Jewish people, and the Shari Tshuva asks, okay, but those went on for over 2 years. So why do we pick the date Chaf Sivan? And he says, because in Tav Kuf Lamed Aleph, much earlier than Tach V'Tat, there was also a terrible tsaris for Klal Yisrael on Chaf Sivan. Rabbi Yaakov Emden brings it down as well. The Siyata D'Shmaya, I think we've uncovered that in the Parsha that we read before Chaf Sivan, it speaks explicitly about Chaf Sivan. I can't believe this is unbelievable. I don't know why this is not even brought anywhere. When did Klal Yisrael begin to travel to enter Eretz Yisrael? The pasuk says on the 20th day of the second month, Chaf Iyar. And what happened? They traveled 3 days. Rashi says, not 3 days. They traveled 1 day. They covered 3 days of travel in 1 day. That takes you to Chaf Aleph Iyar. And then they complained and they wanted meat. So God says, you're not going to eat meat for 1 day, not 5 days, not 1 day, not 2 days, not 5 days, not 10 days, not 20 days, but a month. Tosfos says a month means 29 days. That takes you to Chaf Sivan. Did you know that in this week's Parsha, the day that the Kivra of Kivrais Hatava, the day the Mesoinim died, was Chaf Sivan? It's Hafla V'Fela, the most important calendar date, which will be in the upcoming week, is discussed in the Parsha before that date, namely Parshas Beha'aloscha. It's Ayam Menorah. Now, according to the Gemara in Tainis, it was perhaps Chaf Beis Sivan, And my friend Rabbi Yisrael Eliezer Levi pointed out that it would come out, according to the Gemara, that the story of Miriam happened on Chaf Beis Sivan L'Chayra, which would then also be a date in this upcoming week. In other words, this upcoming week we have Chaf Beis Sivan. So these episodes, these stories are all what we call Davar, Yafeh, Be'itai. Okay, that's offering number one.
Recording